Well, hey folks, welcome back. It's time to get these valve covers back on with new gaskets. Finish running the fuel line and cleaning the fuel line out, putting the extra inline fuel filter in, put a new fuel pump in, put the carburetor on, and check the 12 volts at the coil. And I think we're ready to start the engine at that point. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that right now. And on this video, the engine will run. So it takes me 2 days to film this video, that's what it takes, but on this video, by the end of it, you will see this engine run. Let's get started. Alright, here's the first valve cover. Let's get the little gasket out. Clean it, I'm just going to use some heat in the yellow bottle, which is just methanol. Fuzzies there that don't need to go inside. You use a regular rag, not the disposable kind. I like using this stuff because it's cheaper compared to carb cleaner, and essentially does the same thing. I'm going to use my Permatex High Tack here. Go all the way around because nobody likes a leaky valve cover. Alright, before that sets up too much, we'll get the new gasket in. Hopefully this engine runs so good I don't have to take these off for a long time. Alright. Hit the other side of this gasket real quick. Hopefully this glues it on there so good that I have trouble taking it off next time if I ever have to. Leaky valve covers suck. It drips all over your exhaust manifolds and you got the smell of burning oil. Gotta move quick with this stuff though. It's high tack for a reason. It tacks up really quick. Alright, get you guys moved over to the engine bay. We'll get this thing thrown in there. Kind of caught in the rain here. There we go. This is the second one going in. Yeah, I was only going to film that side, and when I went in here to install it, the camera turned off. I gotta be careful what words I say, because I think I need to turn off the voice activation on this GoPro. I think I'm accidentally making it stop. So you can see where the water's dripping down there from the hood. I got to get this buttoned up quick. Dropped it. Where did it go? It fell somewhere back there. Well, I better get the rest of these things buttoned up and just get some plastic over it right now, because rain is starting to come down, and it's scheduled to come down good here in about 5 minutes. let the rain pass, and then I'll come find that bolt and finish getting it buttoned up. All right, the rain stopped, but I'm not letting it beat me. I need to cut that line. Now I can just pull that off. Anyway, yeah, the rain's trying to beat me, and it's getting annoying, but it stopped for a while, and I'm not going to let it win. But what we have here, here's the line coming out of the tank behind the seat. Here's the hard line going up front to the fuel pump. Some other lines here coming off the auxiliary tank, and there's this electric switch thingy that allows you to switch between tanks. I'm never going to use this again. It's old, it needs to get tossed. If I ever decide to use this tank, which I've actually decided that I probably should, because it appears to be very well made and designed to fit into the space quite well and maximize the volume. But we got to get a line from here to here. So this one's got to come off. And over here we'll loosen up this clamp. And this one. Now the line, the hard line goes to about 1 foot away from the fuel pump. So I cut the soft line that goes from that hard line to the fuel pump already, because I got my air hose down here ready to go, so I can blow that line out. Make sure it's nice and clean. Okay. I think I'm gonna have to go get a pair of shears and cut this thing off, because I risk bending that line at a point in time where it would be a bad thing. Got my shears. Okay. See if we can get that thing off of there. Give myself a little bit of room here. Yeah, that line is dried out and hard. Get the clamp out of my way, maybe. Oh, I think it's gonna come off. Yeah, maybe not. I'll at least try to get the clamp out of there. might need to go get a knife and cut that thing. Yeah, I'm gonna play it safe. I'll eventually replace this fuel line, this hard line, but right now, in the interest of proving this vehicle to be reliable and drivable, we're not going to do that right now. I'm going to get a knife and just score that, get it off of there. This is awkward. There we go. Okay. Now I got my air compressor here. I've already cut the line off, like I mentioned, up there by the fuel pump. So we're just going to blast some air through this line and make sure it's nice and clear of any gunk or junk or anything really. Old fuel, it doesn't matter. Yeah, that should be enough. I can smell the old fuel in the air because I blew some of them out of it. Alright, so I got a piece of fuel line here. Make sure I got my clamps oriented in the direction that is easy to get to them. And let's see. Okay. All right, there's that flared out portion right there. Wow, this is awkward. Okay, right there. Go ahead and tighten this clamp down. That should do it. And right here, that's where this line is going to go. Is it kinked? No, not kinked. Yeah, later on, once everything's reliably driving, I'm going to drop this tank and clean it up and take a better look at it, because it does not appear that it was thrown together by an amateur. The welds don't look great, but it doesn't matter. If the weld doesn't leak, then it's good to go. Alright, so we've bypassed the tank, we've bypassed the electric valve for switching tanks, and we're straight from behind the seat tank going to the hard line, going up to the fuel pump, and that's where we're headed next. Alright, we're back under the hood. So here's the end of the hard line that's coming from the tank, where we just put that rubber hose on, and it goes into a rubber hose here underneath the oil filter, and I cut it off already here so I can blow it out. So I need to get that rubber hose off of there, somehow. Well, the clamp's loose, but I think it needs a pair of pliers. Let me get that clamp off there and save it, because this truck's old enough. This is probably a really nice made in the USA clamp, and why would you waste one of those? Let's see if I can break it free. I know the camera's in a bad spot right now. I don't have much place to put it. However, there we go. Got it off. Next thing we got to disconnect is the hard line going from the fuel pump right here that goes up to the carburetor. So we'll go ahead and take that off. Yeah, that's going to be kind of slow. At least it's not raining, so I really want to get this truck running tonight. Well, at least the engine. I don't know about any of the lights or anything, but okay. Let me go ahead and snake this fuel line out of the way here. We'll blow that out in a second. I'm going to make a guess that these are 1/2 inch. And I'm wrong, they're 9/16. Yep, 9/16. So I got a snake. That's gonna take a smaller socket, I think. Alright, let's see if we can get this here fuel pump out. I need a shorter extension, this is way too long. Let's see if we can snake this in here. There ain't a lot of room between this oil pressure sensor thing. Well, it got it out. Okay. Reuse that bolt. Well, she just fell right out of there, didn't she? Alright. Old fuel pump. Oop, just dripping fuel. Yeah, this is gonna go, yep, recycle bin. For right now, right there in the grass. So the gasket came off with it, so clean this up a little bit here. I'm gonna go get the new fuel pump ready to go, and we'll slide her right on in just a second. Alright, got the new fuel pump all prepped up. Permatex High Attack, of course, and I got some down there. I don't even know if you guys can see that right down there. I should probably adjust the camera. Alright, so this is where, once again, you need 2 or 3 left hands. I'm going to get at least 1 bolt ready to go. Sticker in there. Hopefully the cam is in a good position to where, and apparently it is. Again, that driver. So wherever the engine stopped rolling over last time is being nice to me, so the cam is in a good spot to where I'm not. I thought I had a 9/16 of a nut driver. That's 7/16. Well, I don't have a 9/16 nut driver, so I made one. Get the other one started somehow. Oh, it was almost there too. There we go. We're going in now. Don't want to go crazy with this rail gun. I don't want to break nothing. that's definitely tight. I'm not sure this one is yet, so give it a little bit more. Alright, now it's tight. Alright, time to plumb it up. Alright, I'm going to get the fuel line from down here to right here situated and prefabbed, and I'll be back in a second. Alright, I got my fuel line set up here. This is a basically a fuel filter to protect everything else, because, well, that's what you do when you have old tanks, even though I cleaned it. So, pre-filter before the filter on the pump, and I can see through it, and I can check it regularly, and if I start seeing any junk in there, then I know that, we're getting there. So I gotta get this thing onto this fuel line down here. Can't even see. Okay, I can see it now. Get that clamp in a good spot. That's a good spot. And hook it up to the fuel pump here. Got another clamp. That needs to be stretched out a little bit. Actually needs to be stretched out quite a bit. Okay, and this end goes right to the fuel pump. That's a good spot. I can see that filter very easily when I open the hood. Just tighten that one down right there. I know my hand's in the way, but I don't know where else to put the camera. Okay, that's on there. Now we'll just mess with this filter, this clamp back here, get it tightened up. Okay, all right, we're pulling from the tank all the way up to the pump now, and there's a bit of an issue with the hard line that goes from here up, so I'll take you guys over to the bench so I can show you how I gotta fix that. All right, here's the end of this hard line that goes from the fuel pump right down here up to the carburetor, and it's a little butchered up, so I'm gonna go ahead and snip off this part that's all butchered up and put a flare on it. Let's see. Seems like a good spot. A little rough because it's curved right there a little bit. y'all going? Alright. I'm going to clean that up with a sandpaper real quick. That'll work. Now I'm going to put a flaring tool on here. I'm going to put a slight flare on it just to help it from leaking too much. Not too much, just a little bit. This little bit of a flare on here just helps when you put the clamp behind the flare on the rubber hose. It just helps prevent leakage. Not going crazy here, just a little bit of a flare. Just a little bit of a flare on there. That's enough. We'll go ahead and put about 1 foot of hose on there. And this will go from here to the carburetor. Where's that flare at? Right there. So I'll put the clamp right there. Nice and tight, because this side of the fuel line is under pressure. Alright, we're going to go ahead and put this in, then we'll get started on prepping for the carburetor. Alright, let's see if I can thread this down through here and get it to where it's supposed to go. Seems to be about right. Now, once again, another flare fitting. It doesn't have to be super tight, but it needs to be a little overly snug. But don't go crazy. that's the first place I'll be checking for fuel leaks. Okay, we got some prep work to go up here. First, I'm gonna go find that bolt I dropped and put that in the valve cover and get things situated with spark plugs and spark plug wires, and get ready to drop the carburetor in. We're real close to starting up. Alright, I think we're ready to try to start it. So here's the list. Knocked out the installing the fuel tank, upgrading fuel lines, installing new fuel pump, changing oil, rotating the engine to distribute oil, new valve cover gaskets, new carb, and still install the fuel neck. I don't need any of this other stuff to be able to start it. But what I need to do is, with the ignition key off, I need to rotate this engine over a little bit to suck all the air out of the fuel lines and get all the fuel lines full of fuel and get some fuel into the bowl here. So I'm going to do that right now. And I think I just probably got to run it for, I don't know, maybe 15 seconds, maybe 20. And just turn it over at the starter. And at that point in time, I should be good to go ahead and turn the ignition key on and try to start this engine. So let's go. That's probably enough. I don't want to wear my battery out. So I did put the spark plugs in, hooked the plug wires and all that stuff, and we should be able to get it to start. So I'm going to turn the ignition key on and see what happens. Here we go. Let's give it a little bit of encouragement. Alright, we need to check to see if we're getting some spark. I did forget to check to make sure I got 12 volts at the coil, so I'm going to go ahead and check that real quick. Alright, so I did some investigating and the points were really corroded, so I cleaned them up. Let's try again. I'm not sure if fuel has filled up that bowl yet, so we'll give her a little splash. Yeah, that tells me that fuel bowl is not quite full. There's probably a little air in there, etc. So give it a little more drink here. Okay. Now I think we're in a position where we can turn that ignition key on and see if she'll run. Never mind, the ignition key is on, so we're lacking on fuel a little bit here. So let's see if we can get the fuel pump filled up with fuel instead of air. Messed with it too early. Yeah, almost all the air out of the system. A little bit more drink. We're getting there. It's acting like there's air in the fuel line. I might have to pull it off of here and purge the air. Let's try one more shot here. Yeah, I think it's air in there. But at least we know the engine runs. That's pretty cool. Alright. Yep. Baby steps, baby steps. That's where we're going. Alright. The engine runs. Obviously I got some air in the fuel lines. I gotta purge it. But it's late. I don't even know what time it is right now. I'm gonna check. Oh yeah, it's like 9:20 at night. So tomorrow's Sunday. I'll pick it up tomorrow and I'll purge. I gotta get some more gas. I only put like 3 gallons in the tank. The turn signal's working. Look at that. Well, that's kind of surprising. Okay, anyway, yeah, I'm gonna pick it up tomorrow on another video and purge the air out of the fuel lines, make sure there's no airlocks or anything like that, and get this thing running smoothly, and hook up the linkage for the gas pedal, a few other things. Thanks for sticking around, appreciate it. This truck is going to be a runner, so if you haven't yet subscribed, I would encourage you to do so. I would appreciate it. Hit the notification bell so you can see every time I drop another video. Comments help, especially if you see me doing something wrong. Drop a comment, let me know. That way I can fix it and move on in the right direction. So that's it for today. I'll catch you later.